Johnny, my man, hey, thank you so much for joining us today. I know you're a busy guy, you got a lot going on, but when it comes to estimating and AI, there's nobody better than you, man. So I appreciate you coming
Yeah,
on and giving us some information that the listeners can take away with and hopefully, implement to their business.
yeah, no, Nick, thank you so much for having me. I love talking about these two subjects, so hopefully I can also provide some valuable insights for the users. I will
Yeah,
try as much as I
100%.
can to not sound as a software vendor, so I will try my best.
Well, hey, we appreciate it, man. Obviously AI has been a hot topic
Yes.
over the last year and a half, and it feels like it's just getting bigger and bigger. And so I think for you guys to be able to take that and open up opportunities for contractors, construction companies when it comes to estimating, I think is huge. And I love what you guys are doing and the mission that you guys are on. So when you guys are looking at Togal.AI and its AI driven takeoff process,
Yes.
how does that differ from the traditional methods that everybody's so used to and those specific pain points that you are addressing for estimators?
A little bit back to the history of takeoffs, it went from people doing takeoffs on 2D floor plans, measuring them with a ruler. Then the roller came, and then the digitizer came, and then a digital takeoff on the computer came. What we are doing is, but if you go to all these progressions, even though they were being done on a different medium with a different tool, the same thing was being done. People were coloring and tracing and spending time on doing low value tasks. Again, I don't like to reduce the value of takeoffs. It's one of the most important things people do. Without it, we cannot build these fancy buildings or big stuff that we are doing. But there is a part of quantity takeoffs, which is again the coloring and tracing and playing where is Waldo and trying to find a fixture, trying to find a tag. This part of the job is really very annoying and not very high value task. So what we did is we took the last tool, which is the digital takeoff on the computer, and we brought AI, or what we call also machine learning, into the process. So now we're not trying to replace the estimator. It's not like you click a button. I live in Miami, so you click a button, go to South Beach, sit on the sand, drink some alcohol. It's not like that. We're not going to replace the estimator. The estimator doesn't need to worry about losing their job, and the manager doesn't need to worry about these new estimators not knowing what they are doing. This AI
Mm-hmm.
feature, the features that we have in AI, keep the control in the hand of the estimator. But instead of them coloring and tracing, the AI tool does the coloring and tracing. They still, and this is a very important point, Nick, they still need to put their knowledge into the output of the AI. It is, I always talk about it, it's like an augmentation versus automation. We're
Mm-hmm.
not automating and
Mm-hmm.
replacing the user, we are augmenting the productivity of the user.
Yeah, I like the way you put that too, because it's funny. I use AI in
Yeah,
so many different areas in my day to day operations and in my
yeah,
tasks that I have to complete for the day. And it's funny because if I'm really on and I'm feeling myself and I'm feeling smart and I'm feeling intelligent, me and AI, we're rolling. We're getting stuff done. But when I'm having an off day, maybe my clarity isn't super great and it's just slow, right? I'm running slow.
mm,
I notice my results aren't as great, right? Because I'm not giving it the input and whatnot that it needs. Yeah, it's almost like if you gave the best impact wrench to a mechanic, right? He's gonna be able to do some amazing things with that. But me, I'm not gonna even know what to do with it. So you still
probably.
have to have the intelligence and
Yes,
whatnot.
exactly. And this is a very important point. And look, I'm not trying to say that I came up with this idea, but this is the funny thing, Nick. I used to, since 2001, 2012, 2021, I'm sorry, since
Mm-hmm.
2021, I go to a lot of conferences, a lot of speaking sessions. And I always say augmentation versus automation. But people in construction did not believe me. They thought we are just another software company that's trying to make the idea of losing your job a little bit sexier. You're going to lose your job, but this guy is saying automation versus augmentation. In May 2023, when Microsoft launched their AI tool, they didn't call it autopilot. They didn't call it let's go home and do nothing. They didn't call it AI will take your job. They called it Copilot. So if you just imagine all these Microsoft executives sitting in a meeting and they're, what are we going to call our tool this decade? And they come with a name. They call it Copilot because, again, it's not to replace the estimator, it's to augment the estimator. This gives me more credibility because I used to say it. Again, people didn't believe me. Now Microsoft say it, so people believe them, so they believe me.
So they blame Microsoft, but they don't believe you.
Of course.
Hey, come on, what's up with that? And Microsoft's been down lately, so it's like, hey, listen to Johnny, guys. All right, listen to Johnny over here. But yeah, you nailed it though. That's 100%. AI is meant to supercharge your capabilities.
Yes.
Right. So it is a tool, a resource for you to be better, more efficient, and more profitable at what you do. So whenever you see a tool like this that Johnny's offering, you got to check it out because chances are it's actually going to make you more successful than anything else.
Exactly. More, yeah, 100%.
So can you kind of walk me through this evolution process?
Yes.
That with you guys at Togal.AI, from inception to your idea phase to different milestones with AI integration?
For sure. So before joining Toggle, I used to work in construction. So I spent 7 years of my life in construction. But the last 2.5 of them, I worked for the biggest construction company in Florida. And when I used to work there, I had good relationships with the owners of the company, which are very visionary people. And my boss, who was one of the oldest, I don't want to say kids because it's the wrong word, oldest brothers of the 3 brothers who run the business, was my boss, and he was the person who runs pre-construction. So I was working with him, coming up with ideas for pre-con. What happened is at the same time, his youngest brother, who used to be a congressman, his name is Patrick Murphy, came back to the business after serving in Congress, came back to the business and realized that since he left the business, he came back, things were the same, really not much change in construction. So stars aligned. I had some preliminary idea about where we can use this stuff. He had a vision to bring this thing to the industry and make the industry better. So in 2019, I think in September 2019 is when the company started. We spent 3 years building the product. In the beginning of 2020, we started selling. Now we have around 5,000 or 6,000 users on the platform. Wow. And we've been, again, only selling for 2 years. But the first 3 years, Nick, we spent so much time gathering data. And when I say gathering data, I say floor plans. So this is the thing. These days, if any of your audience wants to start an AI company that is based on photographic images, they can very quickly go to ImageNet, download more than 12 million photographs that are already labeled for free. They are publicly available for anybody. They can download that and start training their models based on photographic images. But when you come to technical drawings like architectural floor plans, that is a different animal. There is none of this in the market. You can see some professors that were trying to do this in the past, but they failed because it needs a lot of money, a lot of resources, and a lot of computing power. So we spend so much on computing to train our models because, again, this has never been done. So we gathered around 100,000 floor plans, Nick, not 100,000 drawings, 100,000 floor plans. And we built a process for our labeling team, which was all in-house. We hired our own data labeling team, and we started labeling these drawings. These are now, after the people, the most important or the most valuable thing for the company is our data set. People come first, then our data set, because it is just invaluable. Nobody in the world has our data set because we spent millions of dollars just building it. And from there,
Wow.
we started like making the product more user friendly and all the stuff that come around the product. Because sometimes people think a quantity takeoff tool is just coloring and tracing, but no, there's so much that go into making a takeoff tool user friendly and making anybody able to learn it in 2-3 days. So this is really a very brief, quick quick explanation about the evolution of the company. And I personally really grew with the company. I was an estimator, so I started as the industry expert for the team. Basically, we were always trying to build the tool for the estimator, not for our egos. We want to make sure that we build
Which is tough as a tech company, right? Because you have all these cool features you want to release, but
exactly
really you need to be listening to the actual estimators and end users and
100%.
producing the different features that they desire.
That makes it so tough. And also, when you work with software engineers, we have very smart software engineers, but none of them have worked in construction. This industry is a different animal. And I tell people who are not in construction that this industry is a different animal. They tell you, oh, you'd like to make it, it's rocket science. Actually, it's not rocket science, and that's why it's a different animal. is the people are always stressed. The money is big. If you make a mistake, you're gonna get. It's a very tough industry, and that's why like the clash in the beginning was like, no, we have to build it this way because this is how the estimator cares about it. And again, I grew with the company from, I worked with the engineering team in the beginning, worked in the product side, and then customer success, customer support, and now I am leading the sales team. So as a person too, I went through different like different roles in the company over these 5 years.
Oh, I bet. When you're working on a project like this, man, you learn so many new things on the run, and then that learning curve, it just becomes easier to just learn
Yeah,
more information on the run. So I can only imagine how much you've developed through a process like this, man.
definitely.
So what about Toggle Chat?
Mhm.
When I was looking at your website, it's pretty cool. It almost seems like you can chat to just chat GPT or something, where it's like, hey, can you write me an RFP based on this takeoff?
Yeah.
So, can you tell me a little bit more about that and how people are using that?
Sure. So out of all our machine learning or out of all our AI models or tools that we built, this is the only one that is not proprietary to us. So what we
So
did,
you actually built the other models
all
other
the
than the
other
chat.
models were built by us. This one, we reached out to OpenAI in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, early on when they made their API public. There was, at the time, again, now things changed significantly. At the time, there was only 2,000 companies that they were giving the API to. We had to build the business case why we want your API. They gave us access to the API. What we did is first build the user interface, right, that is compatible to use this model with our current flow. And the second thing is we built like a filtering agent that doesn't allow it to answer questions from the internet. It only answers
Mm-hmm.
from the documents that the user uploads. Yes, like again, it's a very cool feature and people like it a lot because um, it is a fancy control F if you want to look at it like that. Like you can ask it questions like give me a list of all the paint that is required in this project. It will give you the list and then will give you links from where on the drawings it found this piece of information. So you can click on the
Yeah.
link, takes you to that page, and now you can confirm. And this is again, this is the augmentation part, right? We're not really removing the estimator, we are augmenting the estimator. So if you have a file that's like 1,000 pages, you can navigate it in 10, 20 minutes instead of spending 2, 3 days going through the file, basically. This is
Can they
where,
upload a file that big, or do you guys do the Google Drive sync, or how does that work?
no, everything you upload it to Toggle. You can upload the file that's 1,000
Oh,
pages,
wow.
and you can
Okay,
upload
very
spec
cool.
sheet as well. Like you can upload specs, you can upload drawings. It's just that if you upload specs, we treat them as images, and then we look for questions on those specs, basically.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, this is a new concept, right? So you guys are pioneering this in a way, right? Where you're changing the way that estimators are doing their job and how estimates and takeoffs are getting done. Could you just go through this workflow and explain like, what you've seen in terms of better collaboration or communication and time savings and like that. So it's, hey, they use this tool for an AI takeoff, and then maybe they use Toggle Chat to ask these certain questions. Could you go through that ideal workflow so if somebody is interested,
Yeah,
they know how to handle that process?
definitely, definitely. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
this is actually a very important question. I will tell you why. Because when we started Toggle, we were a little bit naive. We were
Mm-hmm.
construction people, so we didn't know too much. In the beginning, we wanted to automate everything, right? We didn't know really, didn't know too much about technology.
Yeah.
We wanted to automate everything. Let's automate, let's automate. We realized that really you cannot automate. And this was really when we learned, right? You learn a lot in startups. And in the beginning, companies were seeing us as a complementary tool to whatever takeoff tools they had in the market. And we were like, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't want to go there. We want them to think that we are the only takeoff tool that they will need. So we had to pivot our roadmap to build the features that people are already used to in the market, in addition to our AI tools. So now, to answer your question, we are a full takeoff tool. From the second you receive drawings from the owner to the second you export your information or your takeoffs out of Toggle, this whole experience, we make it better for you. So for example,
Mm-hmm.
if you receive a set of drawings that are not named correctly, you can rename them automatically in Toggle. You tell it, this is where I want you to look. This is what I want you to look for. If there are 1,000 drawings, instead of having to rename 1,000 drawings one by one, which again, we used to have a person at this construction company that was hired to rename drawings like 7 years ago. Now you're
Okay.
renaming
Yeah.
drawings very quickly. And then
Yeah.
in terms of the takeoff, Nick, the workflow is that instead of you having to color and trace everything and name them, we color and trace. Now your job as an estimator, select the things we colored and traced for you and give them a name. On the same drawing in the morning, the same space could be flooring takeoff, and the same space at night could be ceiling paint. So we cannot know what the estimator wants. What we do is we save them 30, 40 minutes of coloring and tracing, and then they spend 2, 3 minutes assigning information to these things that we basically find for them. So this is for that. We have multiple features. We have also, you mentioned collaboration. We have a lot of big clients like Clark Construction, for example. It's 160 users, 172 users actually, over 6
Wow.
offices. In the past, all takeoff tools were on the premise. They are like you have to download them on the machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever that's the case, people work in silos. Every person's file is on their computer. If I'm doing a takeoff and you're doing a takeoff, we want to merge them. We cannot because they are separate files. So I have to send you an email. Hey Nick, this is my takeoff, and I download an Excel, and then I download a PDF. In Toggle, we built a tool which we call the collaboration tool. And Nick, this is a bold statement, but I'm still sure about it. We are the only takeoff tool in the world right now which does collaboration the way we do it. It is Google Sheet or Google Doc for quantity takeoffs. Five,
Wow.
10 people can do takeoffs on the same drawing in real time, simultaneously. They can view it like it again, it is bananas what we've done. But this is, for example, Nick, it's not AI related, but it is a user experience related. And that's why people, yes, they like the AI features, but they like a lot in Toggle the user experience and the user interface.
So you're
Same with
taking like that collaborative model that Google is using with their Drive and their Docs and everything like that, and you're putting that in there. So
yes,
rather than have to go back and forth, everybody's collaborating in the same sandbox, basically.
exactly. And I'll give you another example. In Google Docs, when like multiple people can type in the same doc, right? You can type,
Mm-hmm.
you can see another person typing. We took that idea and we did it for takeoffs. Like I can be doing a flooring takeoff and you can be doing a drywall takeoff on the same drawing together in real time. And we don't
Mm-hmm.
need to send each other emails. This is my takeoff, Nick, blah, blah, blah. We are all in the same location. So I will tell you a
Mm-hmm.
very important point here. This feature, yes, that it does help the user because now the user is like doing less of emailing. But if you think about it very well, it is helping the business because now
Mm-hmm.
the business, all the information related to the takeoff are in one location. You don't need to, somebody left the company, we lose the
Mm-hmm.
takeoff with them and we lose all the knowledge they had. Everything is in one location. Somebody leaves, I assign that project to somebody else and they can take it directly from there. If somebody is on vacation,
Wow.
we don't need to call them, hey, blah, 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 where is, can you please open your computer, send me the file? No, the admin of that company has access to everybody. They can go assign that project to somebody else and life continues. So it's a huge feature. Big companies complement us a lot on the AI, but they complement us 10 times more on this collaboration feature.
Oh, I bet. And I think you mentioned big companies. Who is your guys' ideal customer, right? Is there certain trades? Is it certain sizes that you're noticing? Is what's like the kind of the perfect fit where hey, someone would really benefit from your guys' tool?
Yeah, this is also a very important question. And for us, Nick, it's an existential question, and I will tell you why. uh, in Toggle, yes, I'm sometimes very philosophical. In Toggle, I'll tell you why. In Toggle, we made a decision that we want to become the best takeoff tool in the world, period. We don't want to
Mm-hmm.
become the best takeoff tool with an invitation to bid, or we don't want to become a takeoff tool with an estimating tool. No, we want to become the best takeoff tool, period. Only takeoff. We believe there's so much we can do in takeoff. So why I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying this? First of all, anybody in the world who does takeoff, hopefully in the next year or two, will be our client. Why I say in the
Mm-hmm.
next year or two? Because there are certain trades like flooring, like drywall and concrete, specifically these three, they require something called assemblies. And basically assemblies is like another level above the takeoff, where let's say if I do a takeoff on the concrete footing, I can input what is the rebar on the top in this direction, what is the rebar on the top on this direction, on the bottom. And when you do, you input these parameters, it automatically gives you the cuts of the bars, the weight of the bars, and things like that. These things we still don't have in Toggle. They are not very tough to build. They are just user interface things, but we don't have them yet. And for example, concrete companies will not be able to use Toggle because, again, their operations is a little bit sophisticated. But
Mm-hmm.
the good news is we are building all these assemblies right now. But to answer your
Yeah.
question, general contractors, perfect. Flooring,
Mm-hmm.
paint companies, we are getting them left and right. Window, it's just we didn't again we never I had never expected this. Glazing companies, we have a tool called image search and text search. Glazing companies, they love Toggle as well. In terms of size, really doesn't matter. We have 170 user company and we have one user company. It really doesn't matter. Anybody who does takeoff needs a takeoff tool, and we have built this tool for everybody who does takeoff.
Mm-hmm.
It's only those specific trades, Nick, that we cannot cater for right now. But I'm telling you, in the next year, we will be able to definitely cater for them.
So you mentioned concrete. It's funny because I was actually about to send your guys' website to my buddy who's got a concrete company,
Yes.
right? So you think that's going to be in the future where you guys have a roadmap where somebody like that would be able to use this tool to its full ability and have success with
Yeah.
it?
So concrete companies, we have some concrete companies that are using Toggle now, but they tell you
Mm-hmm.
that, look, we use it, but we need the next level of assemblies. We definitely need that. This is why they are not able to use it. But in terms of takeoffs, like you can measure anything inside Toggle. But as I told you, the assemblies, this is what is
Mm-hmm.
the point that we don't
Gotcha.
have right now in Toggle.
Mm-hmm.
But also,
Gotcha.
I wonder
Gotcha.
if I can pivot a little bit because it builds on this question, Nick. I told you we want to become the best takeoff tool, but then people will tell me, okay, what about the cost part, the estimating piece? So this is
That's what I
our
was about to ask you next. Yeah.
exactly. See, it's a very natural progression because that's how the floor. You do the quantities, then you price them.
Mm-hmm.
I tell clients that I know very well, and in the team with these 5 years, we have learned a lot. Estimating or costing is a very specific secret sauce for different types of companies and different size of companies in different areas. For example, a general contractor in Miami price things differently than not only the numbers, like how they approach the breakdown of the project, how they divide the project in Miami is different than in Texas, for example, is different than in New York. So
Yeah.
estimating is a very specific. That's why still maybe 90% of the companies in America use Excel for estimating, because Excel is flexible. You can do whatever you want with it, and they can custom tailor it for their operations. So why I'm saying all this is that we are currently talking with all estimating tools that are in the market that are coming up, the web-based estimating tools. There's a lot of them coming right now. And we want to make Toggle be able to talk to all these estimating tools. You want to use estimating tool A, I want to use estimating tool B. We can use, each one can use whatever estimating tool we like, but all these estimating tools will be able to communicate with Toggle. So you can do your takeoff in Toggle, one click of a button, put it in your preferred estimating tool. This is our strategic decision for the market.
Mm-hmm. What are you guys gonna do then? Are you guys gonna try to have like strategic partners? Do you guys have integrations, like an open API thing where they can guys connect it? Is it gonna be a mix or?
Yeah, we have a couple of partnerships. One of them is public since been like 2 years with the company called Backtech. Technologies they have a nice estimating tool, but it's usually mainly for general contractors. Also, I don't know if I am saying the right thing, but they target big general contractors because of the type of tool they provide, or type of services they provide. We integrate Toggle inside their tool, and basically you can use part of the Toggle experience inside their experience. But again, we are
Yeah.
in talks with a lot of other estimating tools that are coming in the market.
Man, that's gonna be huge. That's gonna be
Yeah.
huge for sure. So, what about the challenges? Obviously, I've been in tech software for the last 10 years, specifically in the contracting world. And obviously, when you're part of developing anything, especially when you're pioneering something, what are some of the challenges that you guys have faced, whether it's feature request development, AI model development, all that kind of stuff? What have been some like the hardest challenges you guys, and how do you guys overcome
Yeah.
those?
So that's a very good question, and could be a very long one.
I'm sure there's been plenty. I'm sure there's been plenty because there always is, right? It's always harder than you expected.
I'm trying to see where to start with this question, because the first thing that comes into my mind, which is a little bit of a cliche, is adoption. In the beginning, Nick, people were like AI, and they were worried about losing their job. And then it was like, oh, it didn't do what I expected it to do. So look how things progress. First, oh no, AI, I don't want to lose my job. Second, okay, I want to try it. So he or she tries it, and they expect Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise. Like they wanted to come, somebody give them a massage, does the takeoff for them, wash the car.
But they don't want their job taken away either, though. So
Exactly.
it's like,
They don't want that. So then we started getting into the problem of expectation. Oh, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that, it doesn't do this. But yeah, but it does this better. Yeah, it does it better for sure. But I think our biggest challenge is that the tools, the 2 or 3 tools that are in the market, that dominated the market for 30 years, they have been the 3 tools that have been used in the market. They are, again, one of them is 2 years younger than me, and the other is 4 years younger than me. I was born in 1991.
that's when I was born.
Exactly. So this is the thing. In the industry, they've been using the same tools for 30 years, 40 years, whatever it is. This is the biggest challenge. Tell them that this is a better tool. Or they say, oh no, I've been used to use this before, blah blah blah. So how we are getting better in this with this obstacle is we are trying to go after students, and we talk to students. If you have a student email, we give you Toggle for free. As a student, you'll want to learn the tool, we can help you. And now this fresh and new generation is coming to the marketplace, and they are looking at these tools. I don't want to say name. what is this tool? Who even thinks about using this tool? And they are adopting this new modern type of takeoff process. So this is really how we will do it. We know it's a matter of time, but we're also doing a lot of effort with universities and any of your audience. If they are a professor or if they are a student, if they want us to bring Toggle to their school, to their classes, please reach out to me. And we have a big initiative again with universities, with professors, and with students.
I love that approach, to be honest with you, because like you're saying, adoption is the biggest issue. And you know, when I'm doing fractional CTO services now for contractors, construction companies, and stuff like that. And the biggest reason why I started that is because people aren't adopting these softwares, right? They're buying certain things sometimes and they're willing to pull that trigger, but they're not implementing it right. They're not training. They're not adopting the software. So it's really just becoming an expense rather than something they can leverage to become more profitable and more efficient. And I love that approach, though, because you guys are basically going after that next generation,
Yeah.
right? And planting that seed and teaching them how to do it more effectively. You guys are gonna. I'm out in Colorado. You guys, you have to hit up CSU, Colorado State. They're always known for their construction management, man. Yeah, that would definitely be a really good fit. And they're very innovative and open minded, that kind of
Sure.
stuff. So
We
that
will
would be
reach
a
out.
great connection for sure, man.
And this is the normal thing, Nick. I don't like this saying. They say, I learned it when I came to the States. Is old dog, new tricks, whatever. I
mm,
think they are just too busy. They don't. It's not that also they don't want to learn. People in construction are busy. Teach the new generation. They will take it from there, and this thing will take over. Please.
yeah, I'll say this though. It's one of our friends has a plumbing company, and he was very successful, and he got to the point where he knew he didn't want to learn any of that stuff with technology,
Yeah.
but he knew he needed to if they want to take this next level. So
Yeah.
his son ended up coming in
Okay.
and just completely changing the way that the company operated.
Yeah.
But a lot of these contractors aren't as open minded as our friend and what he did with implementing his son into the company to
Yeah.
just change their operations. They think they're fine with doing everything the way they've been doing it because they've been successful.
For sure.
Now, for those contractors out there, do you have any advice for them? Do you think they can survive and still be successful and profitable and win those jobs just by doing it the way they've been doing it? Or do you think it's like crucial that, hey, you have to change your mindset?
Yeah.
Something's going to have to change before you feel that pain, because otherwise you're going to feel the pain and then you're going to have to change.
That is actually a very. I like this question a lot because I also talk a lot with companies about it. Okay. Why? For I give an example because a lot of people want to just change things, and I don't like that. Okay, I like to change things with what they tell with a purpose. So why I'm saying this?
Mm-hmm.
The company I used to work for before joining Toggle, the company does around 1.5 to $2 billion in revenues a year, and they still use
Wow.
Excel. Okay, it still works for them, but they adopted other software because it was very important to adopt that piece of software. So the open-mindedness is very important, but the purpose of the technology is more important than anything else, because people need to understand technology is not the savior. It is a tool. You can use it better. Okay, like for example, instead of using a screwdriver, now we use the drill driver, whatever it's called. So people
Mm-hmm.
use I always tell people they have to approach this thing in that way. Yes, we need to bring technology, but before we bring technology, let's look into our processes, and then let's look how we're gonna. So I put it in 3 points. It's called, I put is process, empathy, and tech will follow. This is how I say it. So figure out your process. What do you need and why do you need it? Figure out how you're gonna make your people be able to learn this stuff. And then there is so many vendors out there. Every software company is selling you the dream. You can go. There
I
is
know.
so many software companies out there.
I know.
The technology will
Yeah.
always follow. It is what your process, your people need to know before using that technology.
Yeah.
Obviously, the
Yeah.
open-mindedness is very important. It comes before everything. Like the owner or the business owner, the business operator needs to have that vision that, you know what, we need to keep improving things. Technology can help us improve. Let's see what is our processes, what our people need, the user empathy, I call it. And then from there, we find the right technology for that.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, you said a lot of great golden nuggets there that I just want to touch on. First off, you talk about the software vendors selling the dream, right? So that's where I started. My career in this contracting world was selling
Yes.
software. After that, I owned my own marketing company serving contractors. But what I noticed when I was selling software to contractors is, right, you sell the dream of what the software can do. They purchase it, and then you look at their account 3 months later, 4 months later, and nothing's happening, right? They
Yes.
almost think that it's going to be a magic bean, right? And it's just going to solve everything without them actually having to do anything. And so that's something you have to remember. It's like before you purchase something, it's like, all right, what's the rollout plan? What do we have to do to make sure this is implemented right? Everybody's trained on it and it's getting adopted. That's huge. And then, like you mentioned, the owner vision,
Yeah.
right? So I've worked with people where the owner's all in and excited about it. And then when I meet with all the departments, so I'll meet with accounts receivable, accounts payable, sales,
Yeah.
whatever it might be, they're all in, they're bought in. But when the owner is working with us, but they're still feeling friction and frustration and they're really not 100% bought in yet, then when I meet with those other people, they're giving me friction.
Yeah.
So you have to create like an innovative culture that's open-minded to the change because nobody likes change. But if the change makes their job early and you present that or better and you present it that way, that hey, your job will get easier,
Yeah.
you'll be more successful, you'll save time, blah blah blah, right? It's going to be a win. And then on the flip side, I've worked with a lot of contractors who are very successful, and part of the reason is because they're open-minded to innovation, but some of them actually have told me, hey, I was almost too open minded. So every time a new software came out, I would just purchase that software, but I didn't really have a rollout plan
Yeah.
or didn't really,
The,
realize how much work it is.
yeah.
And so it's like making sure that you're picking the right ones at the right time and then you have a plan for that implementation and doing it based off the bottlenecks that you're currently feeling that pain from.
Exactly. And this goes back to the example of this company using Excel. Now,
Mm.
after 5 years from me leaving, they are now working on actually building their own estimating tool because what happened is they looked in the market and figured out that they do things very specifically. And now they are
Mm-hmm.
contemplating the idea of building their own estimating tool. So, what they
Mm-hmm.
did, this is the point. What they did is that they realized, okay, you know what, estimating, we are able to still figure it out with Excel. We know this is not sustainable, but what is more important for us was technology on the job side, project management tools. So they started adopting these first because at the end of the day, you need to do work to make money. It's not the tech
Mm-hmm.
does the work for you. So you focus on what brings you work, what is the most important for your clients that brings the most value for your clients, build efficiency around that, and then keep making the whole company efficient. I look at this like a baby, Nick. It's a
Mm-hmm.
baby. You bring it into the company, it's a baby. You need to give it care. And then after it grows up, it runs by itself. Then you just need to maintain it because you don't need to worry about feeding the baby anymore. You need to give directions to that adult. This is how I view it. When you bring tech into the company, it is really like a baby. You have to take care of it in the beginning, and then it hopefully would run by itself.
100%. So you have to realize, hey, if you sign up for any technology, doesn't matter if it's Togal, doesn't matter if it's any other tool,
Yeah,
there's gonna be a front end time where you're spending energy, time, money to get this thing
exactly.
exactly where it needs to be. Because, like you're saying, all these companies, it's funny, you work with all these different companies, all these different trades, but everybody has these just little things that they do differently.
Yes.
And it's so important for them
Yeah.
to keep that, right? And ideally, you want it where your technology is getting molded to your processes rather than you having to change your processes to that technology. But the thing is, it takes time. And then once you do that, then you reap the benefits from for years to come.
That's
So put in that front end, be a long-term thinker, right? And a visionary for your company where you want to go. And if you do it right, good things are going to happen.
of course. Yeah, that's true. But again,
Yeah, man.
it's always the dilemma internally, especially in like medium to small to big size companies, is like for example in construction company, if a person or the owner or the leader is a little bit not open-minded, all they are thinking about is what do we do in construction? We build. So we build, but then we forget there is a lot of back office stuff that support this build. Again, it is that's why when you asked me the question, I told you this is a very long
Oh
conversation
yeah.
when
Oh
companies.
yeah. I'll tell you this even too. It's like when I meet with owners, right? And maybe we're pitching our services and whatnot.
Yeah,
And they never really think it's as bad as it is until I get in there.
yeah,
And then once I get in there and I'm talking to the people that are doing the day-to-day operations, the office work, whatever it might be, all this really getting into the trenches with things, they're like, well, this takes me forever. I'm doing this twice. I'm doing manual entry here. This isn't connected to this. We're not on the same page with the office, blah, 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 blah. But the owner's just so far out and they're just looking at, hey, revenue is good, projects are good, blah, blah, blah. But you never know until you really dial in
yeah,
to what your team is doing and dealing with. And at that point, if you can make them successful, make their stuff easier, man, you're off
yeah.
and running.
That's why a lot of you see now a lot of CTOs in construction companies, they are understanding this very well. They need people dedicated to innovation, technology, not only IT, like innovation departments. We are up right now. Like I have seen construction companies that have more than 50 software developers in house.
Wow.
Just bananas.
And that's what my mission is all about. And the reason why I started this is because if they can't afford something like that, anytime they get one of these new softwares, they might have someone who's running that department try to set it up, or I mean, while doing their day-to-day tasks,
Yeah,
and they're really not tech savvy per se, right? It's such a big issue. I saw something online that 70% of these software implementations fail.
fail.
70%
Yeah,
fail,
they fail.
right? So think about that. And so now what happens when you fail those implementations and adoption? What happens is it kills the morale.
Yeah,
You wasted all the time and money,
yeah.
and then you might have to switch back to the other thing. So now it's every time that you try to change something, the next time you try to bring something in, the morale and the buy-in from the team is just
It
so
becomes an
low.
example. They say, you know how it failed. You remember how it failed?
Remember, yeah, exactly. Now you're dealing with that all the time. So it's like that is a huge opportunity cost right there when you're not investing into having somebody on your team to be able to do that, man. But
And
I know we're getting.
if
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry, there's an important thing I say. It's called the user empathy, and the user empathy comes from two sides.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because of competition between software vendors, Nick, a lot of the user empathy is coming from better user interfaces. Okay, so that the user is able to learn it faster. But user empathy also comes from the company itself. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
leave this employee some time to learn this tool. Not like, oh, we are busy all the time and we work 10 hours a day. Come on, nobody is busy that much. Sometimes people overthink how busy they are. So the user
We do.
empathy is required from both sides, the vendor
Yeah.
and the visionary of that construction company. To like give
Yeah.
this operator of this tool time to learn it and not like just all the time, we're doing operation. This is where empathy happens. And this is a very important thing for vendor, for construction company. There is a lot of competition between software vendors, which is good for you, which means the software vendors have to keep getting better to win over the competition. This is very good for you. But there is also a part from your side that you have to help your employees learn this tool.
Yeah. They almost have to take on that responsibility, right?
Yeah,
And that understanding that it's not the magic sauce and it's not going to just be
exactly.
ready to go perfect. It's 100%. So it works both ways. And there was a couple of things that you mentioned that I like, and I think this is advice for people who are looking for solutions with their software, because a lot of stuff that I handle is, hey, if they have a problem, they can't find the software, I go out and I try to find it. So I'll download 100 software in a month, free trials or demos, whatever it might be.
Yeah,
And those are the two things that I'm looking for. Interface.
exactly.
How is the user interface? Like,
Number
how
one,
I should be able to figure it out quick,
exactly.
right? Because just of how much time I spend on it. Because if I can't, I tell you one thing, they're not going to be able to, right? Because
Exactly.
that's not their strength,
Yeah.
right? That's not where they excel. They want something that's easy for them.
Yes.
And then the improvement. I'm always, all right, so do they have a roadmap? Are they going to continue to get better? Because you adopt this software and you're hoping that it's going to grow with you, where they're going to continue to improve
Yes.
and continue to give you more resources and features and whatnot. Because if they don't, then you're going to be in the same spot again, where you're going to have to switch over to something else and go through that whole process again.
This people hate subscriptions. I understand that. Okay, but when subscriptions came in with competition, subscription is the only reason why technology companies will keep improving. Because without this subscription, uh, if there is no subscription, how to say it, the company will throw a tool and that's it. We'll sit back. We don't need to improve it. I already sold it. I don't need your business next year. The subscription model, it's the technology. I'm again being very open to your audience. Technology companies don't really make money out of selling you from the first year. They only make money out of renewals. So in order to keep you happy, and to keep you happy, they have to improve the product, and to keep you happy, they must be better than the market, and then and only then you will renew. So I know people hate subscriptions, but if you dig a little bit into the economics of it, it is helpful for improving the whole industry.
Mm-hmm. On the tech side, it's almost impossible not to have a subscription model, right? So if you're a contractor and you're frustrated with paying it is what it is, right? Because you got to think about the startup cost first off for a tech company to,
Yeah,
to create something is absolutely ridiculous,
for sure.
right? And then for any kind of support, development, everything like that, if you're a tech company, you have to be stacking monthly recurring revenue to have an idea of what you can invest where, everything like that. Otherwise, you can't take care of your customers. Every time that they're paying that subscription, that's going back into your support, your development of new features that you've requested,
Yeah.
everything like that. And at the end of the day, just like Johnny was saying, they're building the roadmap based off what you need.
Exactly what the customer needs, 100%. And
But
another thing, Nick, and other than the user interface, I would tell companies to look for is the support. Internally in Togal, we have a policy like in 20 minutes, we are replying to any client. Maybe we don't solve their problem in 20 minutes, but in 20 minutes, they should know that we are there and somebody is looking into what they want. In 3-4 days, nobody will reply to you. So support is key, especially again
mm-hmm.
in terms of helping into adoption. Whenever there's somebody in this software company replying to you, helping you get to where you want to be without needing them anymore, support is key.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say this is so that's where that subscription is going, right? It is that support,
Yes.
right? And it's huge because the companies that don't offer good support, I almost don't even look at it as an
Yeah.
opportunity for our clients, right? If they're, you can look at grades, you can look at all this kind of stuff online, and you can tell who's got legitimate support and who doesn't. So you want somebody that is partnering with you, is there to support you, making sure that you're going to be successful with the tool. Because it's funny, even me, hey, if I'm the tech guy for this company and I'm helping them out, if I'm not getting good support from the software company, there's only so much I can do on my end. If it's a glitch, if it's a bug, but whatever it might be, there's only so much I can do on my end. So if I can't hear back, then I look bad for our clients. So support is huge. So we got support, constant improvement, interface, three big things to be looking at. As we bring this thing to a close, though, Johnny, and hey, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to
Same
you. I
here.
appreciate your time for sure. Do you have any other words of wisdom, advice, thoughts for the viewers out there to leave them with?
Mm. Usually I say these 3 steps that I said before. So
You got to think of some another golden nugget, man. I already pulled that one out of you.
another golden nugget. I can tell you something about AI. I say it everywhere. Yes, I say it a lot. People, uh, it is the first time in human history where machines make decisions for humans, which is this is what the significance of AI. But what will happen is that these tools will surround us everywhere. We will get to a point where we don't know what is the tool. like when you go to a vendor and you use your credit card is interacting with an untrusted device, which is the vendor's machine, right? In this millisecond, split of a second, these two, your credit card and the machine, there is something called a Diffie-Hellman handshake, which is a handshake that happens electronically so that this credit card and this thing start trusting each other for a split of a second for the transaction to go through. We don't care. I don't care. I really don't care. I just use it, click it.
Nobody cares.
Who cares about Defi and who cares about Hellman? Nobody cares. And I think the same thing is going to happen with AI. These tools will surround us. We have to adopt them. It is not we have to adopt them. Just adopt them, be good with them, because if you don't, somebody else will. And it happened in the 2000s. Whoever adopted the internet and the technology went ahead of their competition. It's literally the same thing. And one thing, again, another thing is that the word AI is very sexy. That's why, that's the thing about AI, artificial intelligence, Tom Cruise coming. It is a hot name, you know. So that's what I would leave the users with. Just adopt them. They're going to be all over the place. You're not going to know it's an AI tool. You're not going to know it's an AI feature. It's going to be just around you. So it's a fact. We have to adopt it. We have to be okay with it.
And I'll tell you this, right? So obviously the people who don't adopt, they're going to fall way behind, and then they're going to feel that pain, right? But the early adopters, like you were saying, the early adopters, obviously they're taking risks, they're taking a leap of faith a little bit or whatnot, right? But they're always the ones that get the biggest reward, right? Because eventually some people will catch up, and then all of a sudden everybody will be using Toggle, right? And then it says, hey, this is the standard. But the thing is you look at things like TikTok or whatever, right? People were going on TikTok and they were going viral. They're going crazy. Yeah. Now there's so much content on the platform that's much more difficult to get started and build a huge following than it was in the beginning. But the early adopters, they reap the benefits.
Reap the benefits, yes. And there is a saying is that you don't ride the wave. You cannot ride the wave. You put yourself in a place to ride the wave. It doesn't happen like that. I thought.
Hey, you're blazing the trail, baby. If you want to be an innovator, if you want to be top of the game, right? Yeah. You're blazing your own trail, making your own path.
That's it.
Hey, Johnny, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. Everybody out there, make sure you guys are going to Togal.AI, checking them out. I'm telling you, it's going to blow your mind what they could do for you, change your takeoff game, and just really improve that whole estimating process. So, Johnny, man, I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Nick. Same here. Thank you. Have a good day.